Somebody at that door. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me. Wherever you are joining me, rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you tune in, Saturday, 2 o'clock, ESPN Plus. I'll be broadcasting Norfolk State and North Carolina A&T. Not only will the game be lit, you know it's going to be lit in the stands. You know it's going to be a great day. It's the Breast Cancer Awareness Day. They're doing it on the final day of September to bring in October. So you know your boy is going to be dripped in pink. You want to make sure that you see it. You want to make sure that you hang out with me. I really do appreciate all the support in that area. If it's not one thing, it's another. I don't have a long time. I have a good time today, but if it's not one thing, it's another. First, Coach Prime was all hype, right? Then he wins some games, and he starts winning versus legitimate FBS opponents, not FCS schools, not low-level FBS schools, but against legitimate Power 5 opponents, right? And they say, oh, well, they're not that good. Then he beats his rival. He beats the school rival. It's a tough game, but they tell him, oh, well, you underachieved because you should have blown that team out. And so now one after another is excuse after excuse. And so they say, hey, it doesn't matter what you did. You're going to get blown out when you play against Oregon, right? They say you're going to get blown out when you play against Oregon. And I go, okay, well, if that happens, it happens. But I didn't believe in Oregon. Guess what? I was wrong. Oregon blew them out. I thought they would lose. I didn't think it would be a blowout. Oregon blew them out. So cool, right? Here's the problem. If you're saying that Oregon is going to blow somebody out, and then they do exactly what you say they're going to do, then why are you giving Oregon props for blowing out a team that they were going to blow out anyway? If you said they were going to blow them out and they blew them out, then why do you say, well, Oregon, oh, this proves something? No, it doesn't. If you already knew Oregon was better than Colorado, then what did Oregon beating Colorado prove? If you already thought that Colorado was all hype, then what did Oregon beating Colorado prove? It proved nothing. Only thing it proved is you guys want to move the goalpost of the narrative to fit whatever it is that you want it to fit so that you can try to take shots at Coach Prime. Because now all of a sudden, oh, well, he's only here because he's trying to give his sons a better opportunity. He wants to steer his sons into the NFL. Shiloh Sanders was at South Carolina starting as a freshman. Shiloh Sanders didn't need Coach Prime to get on the map. He was already on the map. He was in the SEC playing against SEC caliber talent and getting heavy minutes as a freshman. What in the world does he have to prove? He did his father a solid. He did Coach Prime the solid. It wasn't the other way around. Shedeur Sanders was one of the most highly touted quarterbacks in the nation. Anybody who actually knew real football, knew Shedeur Sanders was good. When he decided that he was going to go to Florida Florida Atlantic over some of the other Power 5 offers that he had, I said, wow, that is a get for Willie Taggart. That is a get for him. That kid's going to come in and ball out because he is a Power 5 level quarterback. He ends up going and enrolling early with his father. He did his father a solid. You saw what that offense looked like when there was another quarterback in there at Jackson State. And then you saw what the offense looked like when Shedeur Sanders came in. right? When they played in the spring, y'all don't even remember that because y'all think that Prime just showed up. They came in the spring, they struggled. They struggled with SWAC competition. I believe on that year they went 4-2 or 3-3 in that spring season. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't like undefeated. People just act like that record doesn't exist. He had to figure it out. He had to upgrade the talent. His sons did him the solid. So now the idea that he's playing daddy ball, now the idea that the only reason his sons are rocking is because he's like somehow just allowing them to play over better players is the most ridiculous thing ever. They are elite level players. Why? Because they work really hard. They're elite level players. Why? Because their father is an elite level player. Elite level players usually come from people who were elite level players in football. That's usually how it works. So this idea that he is somehow, shaping or guiding him is ridiculous. And it's only a narrative because people want to find reasons to take a dump on Coach Prime. I heard Dan Le Batard say that he thought it was laughable that Deion said he was old school. But if you look at what Prime was as a player, you're only looking at the persona. You're not looking at how he worked. Prime never missed practices. He was a stickler for film study, right? When he was playing baseball, he was one of the most humble baseball players out there. He's always been a hard worker. He's always been a grinder. The difference is when the lights came on, he turned it on. He's talking about he's old school when it comes to how he handles and prepares and goes about the job in the business of managing men. He makes his players say, yes, sir, no, sir. He's not with all of the celebrating in the end zone. Them dudes be handing the ball to the referees. They don't be showing out. They don't be showing up. They don't show up other players. They only respond. They don't start anything. They never reach out and talk bad about the other opponent. The only thing they do is talk about themselves. How is that not old school? But the perception, because he's got shades on and the hat and the jewelry, is that somehow he is the new school. Just because he understands how to tap into the mentality of today's student athlete doesn't mean that he's new school. It means he pays attention. I'm sorry that these other dudes don't pay attention. I'm sorry that they just look at the superficial of it. But if they took a little bit of time and paid a little bit of attention, they would see what it is and what it was. And they would know that's how Coach Prime gets down. But they don't, because they don't care. Why? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. They want Prime to fail. They don't want other people to come along and try to do this. They want failure from him. I don't know why. I don't understand the motive other than just legitimate hate. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. You know what else doesn't make sense to me? We did this fantasy rankings, and I was asked to re-rank the top 50 running backs in the NFL in fantasy for the rest of the season after 3 games. I had Gibbs as 26th. And people really, really questioned my list because I had some guys higher than others did, had some guys lower than others did. I had Gibbs 26th, and the reason that I gave for having him 26 is that I didn't have faith in the way in which his team would use him. Exhibit A, Thursday night, the Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't exactly a stellar game, right? These people gave David Montgomery the ball 32 times. Not 32 times, 36 times. They gave him the ball 36 times. He produced 141 total yards. He carried the ball 32 times for 121 yards. That's 3.8 yards a carry. That is not good. 3.8 yards a carry, that's not good. And it's not like he just was constant. He had a 26-yard run. Meanwhile, they gave Jahmyr Gibbs the ball 8 times for 40 yards. His longest run was 9 yards, which means his average is 5 yards, but beyond just his average being 1.2 yards more than what David Montgomery's was, on top of that, it means that on a per carry basis, like if you look at all his individual carries, they were better carries than David Montgomery was. So why give David Montgomery 32 carries? 32 carries. He had 3 touchdowns. Why? Because he's the red zone. He's the goal line back. Because this offense does not know how to use Ferraris. This offense does not know how to use Lamborghinis. Hey, newsflash: when Jameson Williams gets back, you think they're going to be doing what the Miami Dolphins are doing? No, because they don't know how to use uber athletic dudes. If I'm Brad Holmes, I stop drafting all of these elite level weapons because that's not the blueprint that the Lions want to use to have success. They want to be blue collar. They want to be ho hum. They want to be like get it in the mud and they love trucks. They love Hemis. They don't want the V12 engines and the room rooms. They want the reliables. They want the. Here's what I know. If I have Jahmyr Gibbs and Jahmyr Gibbs averages over 5 yards a carry, and I have David Montgomery and David Montgomery averages less than 4 yards a carry, I'm giving Jahmyr Gibbs more carries than I'm currently giving him. You're telling me that if you gave Jahmyr Gibbs 18 carries and you gave David Montgomery 22 carries, that wouldn't be great for the team? If it's not one thing, it's another. It's another. People said, "Oh well, with Philly, DeAndre Swift, you're overzealous with ranking him high." But they know how to use running backs. They know how to use Lamborghinis. They know how to use Porsches. They like those types of skill guys. And so Swift is over there in Philadelphia, and his production is not going to fall off. Why? Because that offense is tailored for running backs to be successful. But it's not just tailored for running backs to be successful in fantasy. It's tailored for running backs to be successful in real life. 32 carries for 121 yards is not an impressive day to me. It's a great day in fantasy because 121 yards is 121 yards and 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns. But that's not impressive if it takes you 32 carries to get there. The same way that when you throw for 300 yards, but you had to throw it 40 plus times in order to get there, that's not impressive. It's not impressive. It's effective. It might win you some games, but it's not impressive when we're talking about like just overall in fantasy. It gets it done though. So David Montgomery, the headline is David Montgomery has a monster day. There's nothing monster about 121 yards. There's nothing monster about 121 yards. There's nothing monster about 3 touchdowns when you're getting all the goal line touchdowns. There's always context. There's always nuance. But we don't think about it. We don't care. You know why? Because that's not what we're focused on. But all the people for The Athletic, all the people on The Athletic that question my rankings, that's why he's 26. And if I had to put arrows up and down, I would put the arrow down for him. Why? because his team just doesn't know how to use him. They legitimately gave David Montgomery 2 receptions. Jahmyr Gibbs had 4 receptions for 11 yards. What kind of passes are you throwing this man? I digress. I don't normally go into like off the football field type of things when it comes to like romance and relationships and stuff, but I wanted to talk real quick about this Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. I think it is interesting because people keep looking at this from the Travis Kelce side and going, yo, Travis Kelce, the NFL, they came up because they got with Swift. Yo, this is a notch in the belt for Travis Kelce, right? Yo, you pulled Taylor Swift. That's a notch in the belt, right? But it's really a notch in the belt for Taylor Swift. Look at the type of guys that she's dated in the past. They're not like Travis Kelce, right? They're not Travis Kelce-like guys. Who has Taylor Swift ever dated that men feel envious of? Who's the guy that Taylor Swift ever dated that men go, yo, she got a real one? But dudes love them some Travis Kelce. Why? Because he's arguably the best tight end in the game. Like ever. Not in the game. In the game, he's definitely the best tight end in the game. But he's probably the best tight end ever. His stats are going to say it. Right? His accolades are going to say it. And he's cool. And he's down with the culture. This is a win for Taylor Swift. This is a notch in the Taylor Swift belt. Everybody says, hey, yo, that Taylor Swift is not the type of woman that Travis Kelce normally dates. Well, Travis Kelce is not the type of guy that Taylor Swift normally dates. It's a win for both, and I think we should celebrate that win for both of them. Shout out to you, Swifty. You doing your thing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week, rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, peace.